Hello Aces, this would be Teacher A for today. Now, for this particular video, we will be dealing with English lessons deduced from the most essential learning competencies crafted by the Department of Education pertaining to English 7. Now, for the first week, for the Module 1 of English 7, we'll be dealing with analogy. Now, when we say analogy is a comparison between two sub-objects or systems of objects that highlights respects in which they are thought to be similar. To understand word analogy, one has to know the relationship of each given word to draw its category. Now, the secret of analogy is to identifying the relationship of the two pairs. The teacher or the facilitator will be providing first set of words in pair, then another pair will be provided, but only one is available. Now you will be identifying what would be the suited pair of that word based on the relationship of the first pair. Now the power in order to identify the relationship of the analogy is how we carefully examine them. Now, to make it a bit clear, let's try to use this illustration. Let us find the relationship of the following pictures in relation with analogy. We have the first image, the second image, the third image, and the fourth image. Now, the first two images will be the first pair. The third and fourth images would be the second pair. Now, let us try to identify the relationship of the first and second image. We have the doctor and the hospital, teacher and the school. Now, try to imagine the school is missing. Only on the set, teacher is given. We have only doctor and hospital, teacher and blank. Now, based on the first relationship, first pair, the doctor in the hospital, let us try to find out the relationship of the analogy. If we have doctor working in the hospital, then we'll be identifying teacher working in blank. The answer would be school. Sometimes analogy is a combination of logic and your perception. We identify the relationship not just by personal identification, but we also provide analogy based on the relationship and logical reason. Now, we have here another examples of analogy. If we have kitchen, house, keyboard, and blank, we also have sad, happy, bored, and blank. Now, let's try to focus on the first example. Kitchen is for house, keyboard is for blank. A. Computer, B. Bedroom, C. Wires, or D. Classroom. Let us try to identify the relationship of the analogy of the two sets of words. The answer would be, you are correct, computer, because kitchen is part of the house, then keyboard is part of the computer. That is the relationship of the two set of words. For the second example, we have sad is for happy, then bored is for blank. Let us try to identify first sad and happy. What have you observed? That's correct. Sad and happy are both opposite. It means the antonym. Let us try to find out the antonym or the opposite words for bored. Is it A. gloomy, B. tired, C. exciting, or D. angry? What would be your answer? That's correct. The opposite word for bored is exciting. Therefore, we can now say that the relationship for number 2 would be the antonym or the opposite words. Now, let's proceed to another example. For number 3, we have wing for bird, fin is for blank. A. Frog, B. Bat, C. Duck, or D. Fish. Let us try to identify first the relationship of wing and bird. Bird uses wing to fly. Now, let us identify an animal that uses fin to blank. Okay, the correct answer would be fish, because fish uses fin in order to swim. Same as with the bird using wings in order to fly. For them to both move on their certain place. Now, let us identify the relationship or the analogy for question number 4. We have wheel is to car, propeller is to blank. We have A. Train, B. Plane, C. Bike, or D. Truck. Now, let us try to identify the relationship of wheel and car. What do you think? That's correct. Wheel is part of the car in order to move. Now, let us find an object that uses propeller in order to move as well. What would be your answer? You're correct. The answer would be letter B, plane, because plane uses propeller in order to fly or to move. Let's proceed to another examples of analogy for number 5 and number 6. For number 5, we have whisker is for cat, fangs is for blank. Is it A. bird, B. goat, C. snake, or D. lizard? Let us find first the relationship of whisker and cat. Whisker is part of the body pertaining to cat. Now, let us try to identify which of the following animals has fang. What would be your answer? That's correct. Letter C, snake. For example, number 6 of the analogy, we have pretty is for beautiful, thin is for blank. Our choices would be A. slender, B. fat, C. chubby, or D. handsome. Let us try to find the relationship of pretty and beautiful. What do you think? Okay, you are correct again. Pretty and beautiful are on the same level when it comes on meaning. They are synonymous, they are similar, they are the same. Now, let us try to find the adjective that is similar to the meaning of thin. What would be your answer? That's correct. Letter A, slender means thin. They are synonymous. That's the relationship for example number 6. Now, these are the different types of analogy that we can use in order to identify it properly based on their characteristics or relationship. The first one would be type or kind. Now, we have here 3 sentences. Identify which of the following corresponds to our type of analogy. A. French is a type of language. B. History is a type of food. Or C. Water is a type of car. Which do you think has the correct or logical analogy? That's correct. Letter A, because French is a type of language. History is not food. History is a subject. And water is not car. Water is an element. That is under type or kind. Next, we also have the next different type of analogy. We have characteristics. Now, we have another 3 examples or 3 statements. Let us identify which of these corresponds to the characteristics as type of analogy. For letter A characteristic of a book is to be angry. For letter B, a characteristic of a snow is to be white. For letter C, a characteristic of the sky is to be fast. Which of the statement corresponds to the correct characteristic? Yes, you are correct. Letter B, the characteristic of a snow is to be white. Let's proceed to another set or another type of analogy. It is synonym that we already used in our previous activity. Now, let us identify which of the statement has synonym as relationship in analogy. Letter A, someone who is brilliant is very smart. Letter B, someone who is funny is very mean. And letter C, someone who is nice is very clean. Which do you think of the statement has the relationship of synonym in analogy? You are correct. Someone who is brilliant is very smart, because brilliant is synonymous to the word very smart. Next, different types of analogy. Let's focus on antonym. If we have synonym, synonym means similar, then antonym means opposite. Chaos is the opposite of peace. Vacant is the opposite of empty. Abandon is the opposite of live. Which of the statement has the relationship for antonym as analogy? That's correct. Letter A. Chaos is the opposite of peace. Chaos means great disturbance. Vacant is also synonymous to empty. That's synonym. Abandon is also synonymous to live. That's synonym as well. Next, we have part to whole. Poet is part of a poem. Pedal is part of the bicycle. Page is part of rose. Which do you think of the statement has part to whole relationship? That's correct. Letter B. Pedal is part of a bicycle. Same as with our previous example. Kitchen is part of the house. Keyboard is part of the computer. Now, let's do this practice. Please get a piece of paper so that you can jot down your answer and we can check them later on. Okay, complete the following set of words to form the analogy. Number 1. King is for throne. Judge is for blank. A. Bench. B. Court. Or C. Lawyer. What would be your answer? If king is for throne, judge is for blank. The answer is, that's correct. Letter B. Court. Question number 2. Pleasure is for sorrow. Right is for blank. Pleasure is for sorrow. Right is for blank. A. Sure. B. Wonderful. Or C. Wrong. What would be your answer? Okay, you are correct. Letter C. Wrong. Because the relationship that we use here is what? Antonym. That's correct. The opposite words. Let's proceed to question number 3. If moth is for insect, mouse is for blank. A. Cat. B. Mole. C. Rodent. This is under type or kind. The relationship that we'll be using here is type or kind. Your answer would be, that's correct. Letter C. Rodent, because mouse is under the family of rodent. They are under type and kind. You are correct again. Now, let's practice more. For question number 4, if I is for wink, heart is for blank. A. Throb. B. Move. Or C. Pump. I repeat. If I is for wink, heart is for blank. A. Throb. B. Move. Or C. Pump. What is your answer? That's correct. If I is for wink, then heart is for pump. That's their function. The relationship is under function. Another one. If calendar is for dates, dictionary is for blank. A. Book. B. Language. Or C. Words. I repeat. If calendar is for dates, dictionary is for blank. A. Book, B. Language, or C. Words? The correct answer would be, you are correct, letter C, words. Because in under dictionary, we can find words. Under the calendar, we can find the dates. Okay, there you have it. That would be the Module 1 for English 7 under Most Essential Learning Competencies. By the way, this module is crafted based on the module provided by the SDO-Pampanga. Now, if you have time, please do subscribe to our channel so that you will be updated for our next video about the most essential learning competencies under the English 7. That will be all for today. Happy learning, everyone. Goodbye, Aces.